Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting issue of Nerds Unlimited. I am everyone's favorite intergalactic sex demon, Sonic MTD, and I am joined here by my host with the most, AJ. Trevor cannot be here tonight. We've got a hell of a show for you today, and without further ado, so tell me, what is that comic you have?
It's actually a very interesting comic. I've been reading a 6-part series of Power Rangers and Justice League.
And the thing that I see here, so on the back of it, I see Green Lantern with Colonel Sanders.
There's actually an issue, looks like there's an issue of Green Lantern and Colonel Sanders from KFC. Interesting, eh?
This is what we've become.
Yeah,
it's
finger licking. Never again.
But yes, Trevor is not here. He's with us forever in our hearts. Unfortunately, he has died, but it's okay. We have a backup Lazarus Pit here at the Nerds Unlimited Studios, here at hosted by North of Nerdy. So he will be back in the future.
He will be back without the bloodlust.
Without the bloodlust, of course. Without further ado, you want to jump into it?
Yeah. So, MCU news. Black Panther news. Another Black Panther trailer was released early this week. Pretty awesome. Actually, kind of highlights a little more about Michael B. Jordan's character. In the trailer, we noticed that he kind of has like a weird, a Black Panther suit, but in gold. Which is very interesting, and I'm excited to find out what he does with that, or how he gets that to begin with. Claw, which is one of the bigger foes as well, he tends to have like this weird little sound wave in the comic book. This weird like little, I guess like a satellite dish, but it's for sound. We get to see some of his arm abilities, because it looks like he has an android arm or a cybernetic arm that does tricks. So the cool thing about that is, I was wondering how they were going to determine how he was going to get his ability to become the evil villain Claw, and it looks like he's got a new attachment that allows him to do some stuff. So I'm seeing the progression of his change, because we know that he loses his hand back in Civil War. Was it Civil War? Yeah, it was Civil War. Well, it was a Civil War. He loses it back in you know what? No, it wasn't Civil War. It was Avengers 2, I believe. He loses it there. He gets his hand cut off in Avengers 2, I believe. But either way, further on in the whole MCU universe, he gets his hand cut off, and now we get to see a little bit more of that. You get to see also a pretty cool thing, the new, I guess, Agent Coulson that they have for the universe, right? He is the guy who, what is his name? Give me a second here. The guy who plays, I think his name is, I want to say Smart, but anyways, he's a new agent. He's pretty much like the new Agent Coulson to the universe right now. He makes a couple mentions that are pretty funny as well. He talks to, oh my goodness, well, I can't remember his name, Black Panther, but I can't remember his actual name. It's gonna bug the hell out of me right now. Wow. Thank you, T'Challa. Ugh. Why did I forget that? So embarrassed.
So the question I want to ask, because I'm someone who wants to always play the side of the mainstream audiences, to sort of, we live in a world which is currently filled to the brim with superhero genres and movies.
Yep.
We've got Thor, we've got the Avengers, we've got Captain America, we've got that there's somewhat of an origin story for Black Widow, which is called Sparrows. But it's
not. But
it feels like
it should be Red Sparrow.
Yeah. But so why should we fully get invested in this story? Because he was released in the last movie.
So, as much as I don't want to play the race card in this one, but it kind of is sort of in this scenario. Like, it's weird. So, like, on one level, we only have one super rich, powerful superhero in the MCU, right? And that's Tony Stark's, right? As far as Marvel is concerned, when it comes to Marvel, there are at least 5 to 6, I want to say 6, maybe 7 that are in their universe that are extremely like highest level of intelligence, but in different levels, right? Wakanda, the Black Panther T'Challa has been educated in so much different types of sciences, which makes his country thrive so well, right? Which makes him one of the greatest minds in the Marvel universe, next to Tony Stark's, next to Mr. Fantastic, Xavier, Doctor
Hugo
Strange. Oh, not Hugo.
Doctor Strange.
Right.
Sorry.
So there are those are the big heads, right? And then when you come as far as the Illuminati of the MCU, he's a big player because of the fact that he runs his own country. He's the king of a country, right? And he's such a powerful I want to say technovore, but kind of not really.
Okay.
But he's really highly into tech, but he's also trained in so many different martial arts and stuff as well, right? So
it's a combination of both mind and body.
exactly, which they talk about that a lot. And you're going to see this a lot in the movie. Now, on a different relevance, this is where the race card comes into play a little bit. When it comes to superheroes, he was one of the first black prominent superheroes to have ever come in the MCU, right? They had him in before they introduced Luke Cage and stuff like that as well. He's been around for a long time, sitting in the shadows. Kind of works because he's the Panther, but he's also an African superhero, right? So that's one thing that brings it right back to the roots. You had Storm, you had Panther. Realistically, when it came down to it, there were not a lot of, I guess, minorities in the MCU that were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? So he was I think he started around the 70s and he started kind of continuing on from there, but that's what makes him again a more prominent thing. And then not to mention, they decided to release this movie in Black History Month. Right, so this is coming out in February, the first black superhero to hit the big screen on such a huge level, because we haven't had a serious black superhero on such a big level on big screen that I can remember. Right?
Do you feel that Luke Cage was a testing ground in order to bring up?
I can definitely see that. However, T'Challa and Black Panther was released before Luke Cage.
Okay.
Right, in Civil War, so it was more of you get the taste of Harlem when it came to Luke Cage, right? But he was on Netflix, so it wasn't on a massive scale or worldwide scale as Civil War releasing with T'Challa and Black Panther, right? So this movie coming out, it's literally going to be a whole bunch of Africans going at it with a few splashes of, some Western civilization coming in there as well with the guy who plays Claw and stuff like that, right? So you get to see that take. But even then, I believe he is also Southern African, or I believe in the movie, or at least the character he plays is supposed to be South African. So it's literally just going to be sitting in Africa. We may have some cameos from some of the other players from the West, from North America and stuff like that. So that'll be cool. But again, I was in a barbershop the other day, and one of the barbershops, the barber there was literally asking me how do you feel? How does that feel to you being a colored person watching this movie? And I said, honestly, dude, I can care less what color it is, but there are a lot of people out there that are thinking oh my God, this is our movie. This is the movie to bring us that. And I'm like, guys, it's just another superhero movie, right? You get the great look of Africa, which I'm excited for because a lot of it is filmed in Africa, right? But I'm just excited to see Black Panther, and the guy's a great actor.
I can understand, though, what exactly they're thinking about, because primarily, if you look at the mainstream audiences, so what Hollywood is primarily dominated by, what Marvel is primarily dominated by, same goes for DC, are really strong, brooding white guys like Chris Evans, who basically looks like he could bench me
easily.
And it's I can understand that there hasn't been a lot of, with the exception of Luke Cage, leeway for black superheroes, and it's good that we're slowly getting to it's to that point, but the movie has to also do good on its own merits.
Exactly. And that's one thing I want people to understand is exactly. Forget about the fact that it's a black movie, and I say this with quotations because it's in Africa, right? But at the end of the day, if the script is bad, that won't save the movie, right? If the screenplay is garbage, it doesn't matter. I'm content that the actors that are in this movie are gonna make it decent, right? Because I think Chad Boswick, his name is, or he's fantastic as T'Challa. When he came in Civil War, you felt the presence of regality, if that's a word. He was very regal the way he walked in. He was all, he was gonna be the king. You know what I mean? You could tell he was.
They gave him great empathy and pathos for his,
perfect.
and he also has some interesting people on the side, like that one character. I can't remember.
Sorry, thank you, Chadwick Boseman. Thank you.
I cannot remember the actress's name, but that one scene where Black Widow's walking, and it's like, you will move or I will make you move.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh!
Right? And we're sitting on the bench, and he's just like, he's holding the ring, right?
Yeah.
And you see him sit there, and you can see the sense of pain, but a calm, like, shit is about to go down pain. Like, not like, he was like, the calm before the storm. They do not know what they are getting into. And he's like, you see him just, and then the fact, like, this guy's accent is right on point. Like, damn, I think I'm excited just for the actor playing the role more than anything else. Like, I think that's awesome. And then, like, Trevor was asking me the other question was, why is Michael B. Jordan? He's not African. He has no African accent. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe he was in this character is going to be like civilized by Western culture and then come back to Africa in and out.
It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But from what we're seeing, we want this film to do well, and not just because of what it implies. We want it to do well just as a Marvel movie in general.
Yeah.
And either way, now that we've spoken about Marvel, let's jump into DC.
So right now, when it comes to DC, we really don't have too much. They're literally just building up the Justice League hype, right? We got this movie coming out next month, right? There's a lot of good stuff that's been happening. Obviously, we saw the newest trailer recently, just kind of highlights a little bit more about Aquaman and that kind of stuff. They just released a small little snippet. It looks like Zack Snyder seems to be trying to still keep himself prominent in the scene, even though he's not really on the mark for Justice League anymore. But he's released some clips and stuff like that. There's a featured clip that's out right now with Batman and Flash, just highlighting their kind of, interaction, the relationship a little bit more. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm hoping for good things. The movie runtime is over 2 hours right now, which is good, because if it's over 2 hours, that means we're not going to have a Zack Snyder cut where it cuts 10 minutes of important stuff, like, who certain characters might be, right? I know it's a callback, but I'm just going to leave it at that moving forward.
when it comes to designing a movie, there's a lot. Once again, I've said this many times about film theory. There's a lot that goes into whether it's the actors, whether it's the directors, the writers, and the people that are involved in post, such as, say, sound and editing and things like that. There's the argument that you can still get those points across if you get rid of stuff that doesn't need to be seen. And you put key certain things in the mix. Now, I showed you, we all have this Facebook group, everyone else, Trevor, me, AJ, and maybe if we ever get certain guests coming in, send your applications today. But I sent a video talking about the problem with the editing of Suicide Squad. And one of the things that it was talking about was, say, for example, have you seen Suicide Squad?
Yes.
The part where Harley Quinn stabs the Enchantress and removes her heart, and instead of maybe showing how, the heart where it lands, so that way when it shows Captain Boomerang picking it up or having pathos, like, they've set up that they just need to remove the heart. And instead of showing other things that are going on in the scene that can help, you get a shot back to Deadshot and Kevin Flagg, I guess his name is. Yeah, basically saying, her heart's out, we can end this. But, like, before that, it's like, what plan do we got? Remove her heart! You don't need that shot already in it. It should have been cut. So there's, whether or not it's Zack Snyder's, his creative direction, what we see in theaters is what we're going to get. And maybe we'll take a look at it, the theatrical line down the side, and we'll see it's a better movie. But at the end of the day, what's going to make or break this film is its theatrical release. Yeah,
but like, going back to this theatrical release, the fact that the runtime is so long shows promise. Because, like, the one thing that I know you hate this, Kelly, I'm sorry, this will be very short. One thing that was very upsetting with one particular movie they released, Batman v Superman, was basically is that you had that long runtime, but people had to go buy the DVD to get an extra 10 to 15 minutes of footage that they didn't see in theaters that they could have just tacked on in theaters. Because it did leave some information out that could have made just filled some plot lines. That's all.
Now, here's the question. Is that extra 10 to 15 minutes, do you think the reason why it wasn't released in the theatrical reason because of studio pressure, or just because they didn't have enough polish?
And that's what I think it was, studio pressure, right? Because you look at the release of when they released that movie, what it was going up against and stuff like that, like they're just trying to build that momentum. They needed that momentum fast, and there was a lot of like issues with that movie when it first released, right? So, but again, Justice League's been okay. The trailer's been going awesome. Like, it's got me hyped, and you guys know I'm not really a big DCMU fan, right? So I'm hoping that it shows promise. I love Ezra Miller's Flash. Like, he's really grown on me. Grant Gustin needs to step his game up and be a little more funny. Like, I'm sorry, like, after seeing Ezra Miller in these trailers in the past couple of months that I haven't had Flash, I'm like, I kind of want Ezra Miller in the live-action TV show now.
Yeah, there's lots of things that are... So, I'm not the most up-to-date when it comes to comics as opposed to you and Trevor.
Definitely not on Trevor's level.
Yeah,
He's
Trevor is, like, above and beyond. He's beyond Omega level. Hey. But through reading some of the stuff for DC, I'm starting to understand the tone, why they're always trying to make it darker and grittier, because the comic books are always like that.
Oh, yeah, the dark, yeah.
And there are some characters that are being taken and put in a new Verizon, a new way of doing things. One of the things I was taking a look at was the War of Jokes and Riddles, which is basically a turf war between the Riddler and the Joker. And Batman sort of caught in between. He has to pick a side because he realizes if he doesn't get involved, these two sides are going to blow up and out of control. So DC has great potential in the comic books, but what translates to film remains to be seen.
Of course.
And I would like to see a better on-screen adaptation of the Joker than what was given to us with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Well, moving on for the next beautiful thing of how about acting, like Activision is actually something that should be great, you know.
In video game news. Yeah, so the major stories that have been coming through, I've confirmed these stories as checking in with IGN, as well as, of course, Jim Sterling of the Jimquisition. We're talking about a new patent that was being released by Activision. Now, currently, it is not active in any of their video games, but basically what the patent is, it could forever change online matchmaking.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I briefly went over a little bit into it, but the concept of it is basically as follows. Most online multiplayer games, such as, say, your Battlefields, your Call of Duties, your Overwatches, are all pretty much stacked on your skill level. It's all pretty much stacked on your skill level. I love our Twitch streamers. They know how to take the energy out of my sails. But it's all stacked based upon your skill level. Now, what this patent that Activision is proposing is having uneven matches with things that aren't competitive, say, for example. So that way, when you have like a new player that's just starting up, you can have someone who's completely sunk a lot of time, money, effort into the game and has an incredibly overpowered skill set and just completely wrecks you. And then while you're watching a kill cam or while you're playing the game, it lets you know subtly, these are the weapons that character has. These are the upgrades that character has. You know, this is all stuff that's available in the game that you currently don't have. Maybe you want to put some coin down and possibly get this in the future. And when I heard this, when I was looking at it through the videos that I was going through, I felt once again that this was very disturbing.
No, for sure. There's two levels. Like, for what you're saying right there, it's very disturbing because, like, new person coming into a game who's been playing, or versus somebody who's been playing like 20 days in, is definitely going to have more content and merch than new person just joining. But if you're an anime nerd like myself and like him, you can tap into your inner anime hero and realize that's just another step for that person to be your rival, and you want to get to his level. Like, that's what I would say. Like, for me, I would say if I'm playing Call of Duty and dude has like a crazy attachment tank add-on to whatever, and there's like, hey, would you like to purchase this for $50? I'd be like, no, but I'm gonna get to where he is and I'm gonna play more because eventually I'm gonna be able to buy that stuff on my own with in-game content.
I want to be able to Yes, I did actually. So for the people that are tuning in, we do have people that are online that are commenting via Twitch, and one of our Twitch users is talking about how the wording of the contract is incredibly vague, and yes, that is when it comes to legal terms and things like that. Companies such as Activision want to make it as vague as bloody possible, so that way they can get the law to have more give and take on their side. There's probably going to be a lot of drafts that come out of this. I don't know where this is going to go, but hopefully things will get it figured out. But I do want to. So you brought up the idea of when a player beats you, that causes you to have a rival. But the thing is that there are people out there that have very addictive personalities.
Oh, of course. That's of course.
There will be people that are like, hey, you see a slot machine, you walk by it, you don't think anything of it, but you see someone who's got that personality trait who can't, tries their best to keep away, but keeps coming back to it. So this is somewhat of a predatory thing. This is not like Overwatch. Like Overwatch, all the characters their attributes are the same, their classifications are the same, their skills and bonuses are all the same. The only thing that's different, and that's how Overwatch makes its money, is on cosmetic designs. New skins, new different...
Waifu bait.
Yes, waifu bait. But it pretty much is... it doesn't impact the gameplay other than cosmetic appearances, which is what I can tolerate.
Oh, for sure. I hate... That's one of the reasons why I can't get into Call of Duty, right? Because, when you play games like Halo, for example, all the guns are on the field, right? Yeah, you have your two basic weapons that everyone starts off with, which is your AR and your BR, or your AR and your pistol. It's basic, right? But the rest of the guns are on there, so you have to go find that stronger weapon or this or this or this, but you're in a race against time to get that weapon before the next person on the team, or the opposing team, gets it, right? So it's literally just a race against time to get that weapon. Whereas if I start playing Call of Duty right now, I'm gonna be playing somebody who is probably freaking level 30, level 40, who has 15 different attachments to his little freaking pistol with armor abilities and stuff like that. It's annoying because it's I think that is definitely a spot where I can see Activision implementing that, only because of that reason right there. Because there's a lot of Call of Duty players who just pick up the game to play and are going to be like, oh, what the hell? I just got killed by this 50 caliber sniper that I can't get until I prestige 3 times to unlock it or something, right? So that I can see that definitely being implemented there. But to me, I'm like, I don't pick up that game anyways because of that reason. Because that would annoy the hell out of me that I wouldn't want to play it. Yeah, okay, I'll get that little twinge when I finally kill that level 50 person with my small little pistol that I haven't ranked up or anything like that, because that gives me that.
Oh, it's fantastic though if you kill the person with a small little pistol, because then you have bragging rights at that point.
But that's the only time that it would be good. But then it's 9-1, where 9 times he kills me versus that 1 time I've killed him.
Or you could say get good scrub. There are different ways of, it's not just about the gear loadout. Sometimes it's how you're playing the game.
Exactly. But just like you were saying, there's going to be 5-1 probably of kids who are playing this game or adults who are playing this game that just pick it up and they're like, I don't want to be that person who is low of low. I want to rank up with my team who's already been playing 4 months in. You know what I mean? So I can see it going both ways.
And further on, in gaming news, we're going to talk a little bit about. So, I found out that Visceral Games, the development studio that is behind games such as Dead Space, and didn't they also do some of the Battlefield stuff? I can't remember.
I was going to ask you what other games they're tied to, because I was a little curious. I've seen the name and I remember seeing it a few times. But what else? What else? Yeah, what else?
They were a major studio in gaming that was, of course, purchased by Electronic Arts and has now been added to the long list of game studios that has been destroyed by Electronic Arts, such as Pandemic and EA is a crypt. Essentially, you have these good studios, these good guys that basically get bought out by Electronic Arts, and their games get muddled down.
Oh, they made Dante's Inferno. That was a
Godfather,
great game.
007 Everything or Nothing.
Yep.
But
From Russia with Love. Oh, and they made Army of Two. I really enjoyed Army of Two. That was a really good game.
a lot of good developers, like our Twitch people, are pretty much saying that have ended up losing their positions.
They did Road Rash.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's disheartening that Electronic Arts adds another one to the long
And they did Need for
collection.
Speed Most Wanted. Freeze. Yo, they had a lot of good games.
It's
That's
okay.
Not even fair, man.
It's okay, AJ.
No. Why do you have to go?
Stages of grief, ladies and gentlemen.
Right? Like, they actually made some decent games.
Yep. And
Except for Battlefield Hardline, that crashed hard. Holy crap! That whole idea. Oh, you can be a cop. You're in the hard line.
I'm not going to lie, I kind of liked the idea of playing a cop and having to arrest suspects, but they didn't execute it well enough, which is unfortunate.
Like, there was a lot of glitches in that game when it launched.
But either way, I'm worried about the state of other studios that are under Electronic Arts names. Now, as I've stated before many times on the show, I have been boycotting Electronic Arts. The only game franchises that I have picked up post Mass Effect 3 was Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I do not put my money into their wallets. And I'm very worried for BioWare. Because, once again, Mass Effect Andromeda didn't do quite as well as they were expecting.
BioWare. Who else?
BioWare is responsible for the Dragon Age franchise,
Yep.
is responsible for Mass Effect.
Yep.
They've done a sort of a Lord of
I
the...
feel like they did. Weren't they not involved with what's that game?
They did a Star Wars MOBA online.
Yep. No, there's another game though I'm thinking of. It's the one with the guys that has like weird hook. He's Big Daddy's one of the characters in it.
BioShock?
BioShock. He's not. No, that's not the
No,
same.
that is a completely different studio.
Okay, fair enough.
BioWare had nothing to do with that. That one I believe was
Yeah, you got Star Wars, The Old Republic, Dragon Age, Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect, all the Mass Effects.
yeah. Jade Empire.
Jade Empire.
They're primarily known for creating these giant sort of multiplayer.
They actually did a lot of good franchises.
But they're
Part of the Neverwinter Nights. That's awesome as well too. It's cool.
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, the people that were responsible for BioShock were 2K Games, who apparently have also gone under, which is unfortunate, especially because I think they also did the original version of The Darkness for the PS3 and Xbox, which was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
But moving on, I will keep going down the line. What is the next thing on our template for video games? So we talked about Visceral, Electronic Arts.
Fractured Butthole.
Right.
I love the play on words that they make for their games.
Well, do you know the story behind Fractured Butthole?
No, sir. I actually do not watch a lot of South Park, so enlighten me.
Okay, so they were doing, it was revealed in an interview, I think it was for E3 possibly, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone had been wanting to create the game title with butthole in it, like, because pretty much your character, did you play the Stick of Truth?
No.
Okay, so farting and toilet humor is a part of the game. Like, your character could basically, like, fart on his opponents and they'd get, like, gross out damage, but you through playing the game you gained a magic asshole. you have the ability, like, there's in South Park, you know, the anal probe aliens who give you like this satellite. They have a way where you can teleport all throughout South Park and use the power of your magic anus to go everywhere.
Oh my god.
You do not know how much this is. I've wanted to get this statement off of my bucket list. But the South Park, the Fractured Butthole, as a result of your adventures in the first game, it's a continuation. You're playing the same character, and now everyone's doing comic books. And your character, because of he's got such a magic anus that can bend the rules of space and time.
Bend it?
Yeah, bend the rules of space and time itself.
I feel like this is like South Park wouldn't say bend, they'd be like bend over.
Yeah.
The rules of space and time.
Listen, schmuck. But because that it's had it, they wanted to have, like, to incorporate the title to include, you know, butthole, something like that. But the censors would not allow it. So they had to find a way to include butthole in a sentence, and they're like, okay, well, we can't use butthole. We can't use butthole together, butthole.
Yes.
Fractured butthole. And thus they were able to get the game past the censors by having that.
Wow.
I am looking forward to the game. I also like some of the witty social commentary that they have spliced from what I've seen.
My question: do they have the coon?
Yes.
I might get this game.
So,
My city sleeps at night.
that is an actual decent Cartman.
I love Cartman.
But so there's, I'll give you the basic rundown. Have you seen any of the trailers?
Actually, you know what? No, I didn't. I gotta watch them.
Okay.
There was something I was watching, but it's a mobile game, so it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah. So the idea is so in the previous one, everyone was doing sort of like a Lord of the Ringsian LARPing type thing, and it's like the day after all of that, and like your character is still wearing the gear from the previous game, and everyone else is like dressed up as superheroes, and you're just sort of looking around, and it's like, oh, you're still playing that stupid Dungeons and Dragons knockoff. Everyone's moved on to superheroes now, and they all are like sitting there mapping out their how their television series is going to go. You get a Netflix deal, and you get a movie, and you just get a cameo appearance. Why do I only get a cameo appearance? And so they start fighting and infighting, and they create a civil war.
Oh, okay.
And so it becomes one side, which is Cartman, Coon and Friends, and the other side is Mysterion, and you have to pick a side, and also Morgan Freeman teaches you how to craft burritos. It is
I love it.
It is fantastic.
I love it.
But there have been some minor concerns that I will say as a result of some of the people who have managed to play it now that embargo has been...
Is it because it's fractured?
No, it is because...
Their butt is not whole?
No, it is because... God damn it. It is the main, one of the complaints that they noticed is that the gameplay isn't quite as difficult. Now, as someone who played the previous game, the difficulty curve was kind of astounding. So there was, if you were doing all the side quests, everyone sort of went up with you. Okay. And when I was facing off against Al Gore, him and his bodyguards would basically murder the crap out of me every time. So I guess as sort of a way of, you know, with a new combat system, and also to try to their best to not make it too difficult.
They made it too easy?
It's possible that they made it too easy.
That's because the coon always walks at night.
But keep in mind, it is South Park, and a lot of people that are fans of South Park are not also familiar with this RPG style of gameplay.
They're not prepared for the coon.
No one's prepared for the coon.
No one is prepared for the coon.
So,
I am the coon.
Do I understand there's been a Townley band? On that note, so yeah, we are talking.
Before we go into this, have you played Overwatch at all, man? Since the update?
I've been playing. I've been playing every night. I'm on hiatus this month from releasing a video for Always Right Reviews, and so just to relax, I'm trying to get the costumes. In particular, I'm trying to get McCree. Okay. I'm trying to get Anna. Nice. And I am, of course, trying to get Mercy. I just got one. I got the one from last year for Reaper.
Nice. Yeah, I got the one for Reaper so far. Last year's one. What else have I gotten? I got a lot of like emotes.
Yeah.
I got a lot of the legendary emotes. I got a lot of the voices and stuff like that. But I'm literally just itching to get like a couple more skins. I even got Hanzo's old skin, which I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I've actually been learning how to play with Hanzo as of lately because of Junkenstein's Revenge.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually getting used to him now. I'm like, okay, you just gotta use the number 2 slot, not the number 1. Okay,
if you want to become a really good player, like outrageously good, I would recommend you go into the arcade mode and do the random characters.
I do Mystery Heroes all the time. That's
yeah.
I actually enjoy Mystery Heroes. A lot of friends of mine don't play it, but because they like to use their specific characters. I love it only because of that reason, because it makes me have to pick somebody I've never used before.
Well, it's not only that, it teaches you how to be a good player in the form of, if you want to use any type of ultimate, stay alive.
Oh yeah,
don't jump into the middle of the fray. Learn how to play your character. Know what. Don't be like my parents. Know when to pull out. And sorry, did that go above the age rating of that? Was that a little too
No.
overboard? Okay.
That was funny. I was like, oh. But going on, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. I was talking about what we're reading. We also want to know what you guys are reading. He mentioned he was reading a turf war between Riddler and Joker.
Yes, I'm reading the saga, which is known as the Battle of Jokes and Riddles, which is basically a Batman comic where he's in this universe. I think it takes place at the New 52 or just after. I don't remember. But Batman is new to the game. Like, he hasn't been on it as long as he previously. They sort of did like a bit of a series reboot, and he's trying his best to figure out how to deal with criminals and all different types of stuff. And in this one, it gets to the point where he's sitting there going, I don't know who, like, I have to pick a side in this.
Nice.
And like, there's the Riddler and there's the Joker, and they have like people on their sides as well. They have champions that are on their sides. So like the Riddler has I believe Deathstroke, and the Joker has what is his name? He was in Suicide Squad. Deadshot.
Okay.
So it's like those two going head to head against each other, and there's just wakes of bodies in everyone's midst.
Nice.
I'm currently reading Justice League versus Power Rangers. What happens is Lord Zed happens to find a way to travel between the universes. He brings...
Yeah, anyways, forget it. He actually travels between universes, ends up bringing, messing up the portals or the teleportation devices with Zordon and his crew, and the Power Rangers. They end up teleporting over to the Justice League universe, and they basically collide, where it's evildoers such as... Blah 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 blah. No, I'm joking. Brainiac and Lord Zed actually combine forces to dominate and try to terrorize two different worlds at the same time.
You know, I just realized how much of a Power Rangers villain Brainiac is, actually, when you like break down.
Oh, he totally could be. Easily.
Yeah. I did not realize that until now.
Instead of like making villains grow, he makes the city shrink and puts them into globes.
And he makes some little snow globes. And he's like, hello. Look, I have a piece of Krypton. Hi, Superman, look. I'm shaking your city.
Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
CW, guys, if you haven't watched the last episode of Flash, go watch it. It's pretty sweet. I haven't really watched, to be honest with you, but I have watched the first episode, which was awesome anyways. Like I said, I've kind of lost my feel for Flash right now. It's all because of my TV service provider at the moment. They're being dicks and not letting me freaking... Why am I looking up to the sky? I'm like looking directly at the mic like, hi, Mike, you are my camera. Hi, you are the camera. My apologies. I don't know what I'm doing here.
It's all a haze. We just sort of picked him up out of the side of the road. He tried to sell me a cell phone, and I'm like, that's good enough,
right?
You don't need journalism experience, right?
Not at all.
No.
In anime news, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, Shonen Jump's kind of like had their big three over the last, like, let's say half a year right now. The big three still One Piece, which I am like totally in love with One Piece now. Okay, I didn't think I would be, but I am so immersed into it that I'm literally doing almost 4 episodes to 5 episodes a day.
Who are they fighting now?
Right now we are in the middle of, they just finished Enies lobby. Right? They just destroyed, the Buster Call was called, they destroyed it, whatever be the case. They're now having their little peak where there's just like rest. Luffy's granddad is a freaking captain? What? Like, that threw me off for a huge loop. You know the dude with the glasses who was like one of his first friends was when he went to go rescue Zoro for the first time?
As far as I'm concerned, I got as far as them going into the sky and fighting a man who can turn things into gold.
Yes, so we're past that. Because that's Sky Island. We've done past that. So one of his friends, I can't remember his name on top of my head right now, but he like ends up like he's actually like jacked man now. He used to be like short, stubby, glasses, nerdy, crying all the damn time, and then they just reunited now, and he's like pretty much in his like he's a sergeant now, and he's been trained. He knows some of the 6 special type of, I'm gonna say jutsus just for the sake of conversation, but they're really like just types of like elements that they get to learn. But I'm loving it. But right now, so that's One Piece. The second season of My Hero Academia is done right now, so we're waiting for the 3rd season to start up. That's supposed to be coming up mid 2018. Actually, hopefully early 2018. They haven't really specified exact date. All we know that it's coming in 2018, which I'm excited for because this season was, so many heartstrings were plucked this season. So much good happened in this season. If you guys are not a fan of My Hero Academia, you need to watch it. It is absolutely awesome. It's such a good show. And like Kelly, for example, wasn't really into it until he listened to one of the theme songs that just brought him into the show, and he loves it just as much. Like, so, and my son loves it. There's so many other people that like just love the show. But the newest one that they've kind of been hinting at and is this one show called Black Clover. Black Clover seems to tell the story of a kid who it's kind of almost follows the line of My Hero Academia in a sense, where Midoriya doesn't get any powers, but he ends up developing powers or getting powers from whatever be the case. And it's his struggle to his rise to becoming the best hero in the world. It looks like these are two wizards. They're rival wizards. It looks like they're brothers almost, if not fully brothers, from the trailer. This is me looking at the trailer. And it looks like one is actually, he has inherited the abilities for wizardry. All right, whereas the other person has no wizard powers. So it looks like he basically has to, it's a story of him rising to take out his rival, but at the same time coming a long ways to earn that ability to be able to be the best wizard in the world.
I
right?
wanna be the very best.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like no one ever was.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's overplayed.
Overplayed, right?
The thing is, I want to get into a lot of new series, but the one thing that I know is that, and I'm going to come across as a total hipster, and that's not what I want to do. But a lot of the time when it comes to my anime tastes, I don't seem to drift towards the mainstream. I always enjoy taking the side roads and seeing stuff that's off the beaten path that usually gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I won't give Black Clover a chance. I'm just saying from what I saw from the launch trailer, it wasn't enough to impress me, say as about Steins Gate or Shimonetta or even Eureka 7, the original Psalm of Planets. So in regards to that, I'm not looking forward to that, but who knows, maybe it has a chance to change my mind, to change my opinion of it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Have you ever watched Jormungand?
No.
Have you watched Black Lagoon?
No.
Okay, I'm going to show you Black Lagoon, and then I'm going to show you Jormungand.
Okay.
And you are going to love it.
I'll put that on my list.
I can guarantee it.
All right.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a bonding moment.
Speaking of bonding moments,
Yes.
me and Matt actually had a bonding moment early this week. We almost fell over, dude. Actually, legit almost fell over.
I do not like to be touched. I feel unclean. No Harvey Weinstein, no.
We actually went to go see.
Topical.
Me and Matt went to go see Blade Runner.
Yes.
2049 earlier this week, and
saw.
yeah, we definitely has a little bit to talk about. So
I absolutely loved it.
Yep.
Did you watch the original Blade Runner?
I didn't watch all of it.
Okay.
It was really long, and after seeing Blade Runner 2049, I don't think I was able to make. I fell asleep.
The original theatrical cut of Blade Runner was horrible. It's one of the all-time worst edits of a film, up there with Brazil, which was done by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame.
Okay.
It wasn't until the director's theatrical cut where he was looking at it going, no, this part needs to be in, this part needs to be in, this stuff, that it actually became amazing. And as well, it didn't do good when it launched. It wasn't until like people in film snobs were basically looking at it going, this is a masterpiece, that it gained that prestige.
Yeah.
This movie is amazing. And I'm not saying this because, once again, I'm not really a fanboy. I'm just someone who watched it and somewhat enjoyed the experience. I thoroughly enjoyed the film noir that was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling did a fantastic job. Should we can't really get into spoilers because, once again, if we do, it might ruin the movie for everybody else.
Well, we can go into some detail, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So a lot of the movie, like, it was a great movie. I feel like Denis Villeneuve found a way to really capture the true essence of the original series, right? There was a lot of aspects of the movie that made me just in awe, like the shots of the city, the shots of the characters, right? The way they did the character development of each person, right? the story getting into the twist to not the twist to like there was so much that was happening, but it flowed. It wasn't like there was so much. It's weird. There was so much that was happening, but there wasn't so much happening, right? Like you're watching the movie and you're getting the story and you're like, oh my god, okay, I like where this is going. And then it goes in this other direction. You're like, okay, I like where this is going, right? And the callbacks to the original movie, which I was going to say earlier, tell you this earlier. So like one cool thing, the gun they use in the movie, exact replica from the original series, which I freaking love. Denis Villeneuve actually found a way to really bring out the city that was in the first Blade Runner in this new one. Like it was almost like obviously a lot more CGI, but it looked grungy. It looked, like you said, noir, right? Yeah. It looked
because that's what it is. It's a futuristic film noir. A lot of the background shots showing that depression and isolation.
Yes.
There's a lot of interesting different directorial choices that were made. The music style was very similar, but it was also just different enough to be concise and not to be an homage without being like full-on ripoff. And which is also funny because it also has to tie in. There's a lot of things it has to address. Of course, Harrison Ford has to make an appearance in the movie, and he makes just enough of an appearance to make a decent nod to the fans, but not enough to the point where it's completely bogged down, because this is Ryan Gosling's movie. And what he goes through, his investigation, he's a cop who is a replicant himself, so replicants are now, they have a more a more submissive version of replicants that basically cannot lie, that cannot go crazy, and are basically sent in to retire. And through his investigation, he stumbles on a wider conspiracy, and it takes some interesting and dark turns. And
so going with the whole replicant thing, which is really awesome. So in 2049 versus the old Blade Runner, they talk about that. One of the Easter eggs that if anybody who's watched the original movie and is a true Blade Runner fan will notice this, and again, because I'm not a big fan, I didn't notice these things. So in the movie, we have K, which is Ryan Gosling's character. He's a version, I guess, a 9, right? Nexus 9, right? The other person who he takes out, which is, oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name?
Dave Bautista.
Thank you. Dave Bautista is an 8. Right? In Harrison Ford's movie, he's hunting down number 6s, which poses the question, which, good thing about this movie is that it never actually answers this question, is what are the number 7s? What's the number 7 models, right? So when you're watching the movie, again, not spoiling too much, but like you can sit there and watch the movie, and some of the storyline can lead you to believe that some characters are number 7s, right? And when you're watching it, you're like, maybe, no. But you wouldn't really notice this until you watch an Easter egg, like a YouTube video or something like that till afterwards.
I think that you're going a little too technical in regards to it, because a lot of the people who are watching it probably are not that as in depth when it comes to.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Like you're not going to notice this unless you're a true Blade Runner fan or someone who's paid attention to the series to know these things, right? And I think that was my coolest part of watching this video afterwards and learning about these Easter eggs, was like, oh my god, that makes a whole lot of sense. That if this was this, that was that. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness. And because in the movie, a question gets posed. Could Harrison Ford be a Nexus series? Could he actually be a replicant?
That right? was the question that was posed in the original
Exactly.
movie.
And they continue that question, which is awesome, right? And that's where that possible
and
hint
they do not answer that question,
which is great.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the Easter egg comes into play. Is like, since they mentioned the 6, they skip the 7. We know the 8s are not. 8s are being hunted down, and the 9s are what's in distribution right now. Could Harrison Ford be the number 7? Could it be his ex, so that girl he fell in love with in the first movie, could she be an Nexus 7 model, right? Like, there's a lot of questions that it posed, which was great, and that's one thing I really appreciated of this movie, is that it still gives that.
The one thing that the movie is definitely going for, though, so I'm not spoiling anything, but it's just how we were watching it. It definitely feels like there's going to be a continuation of this movie.
Definitely.
It feels like this is the beginning of what could be a series for Blade Runner, at least at one more movie in the series, just because of how open-ended it is and how many questions are still left up in the air. It's not like, for example, in Frank Miller's Sin City,
Yeah.
where like everything has a bittersweet conclusion, but it's a conclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They can add more stories, but they're like, no, they can add more stories, but it still finishes off where you don't need another story.
Yeah.
Right. I almost exactly like I feel that way with this movie too. Like Blade Runner, the way it finishes, you're like, okay, I'm okay with this. If there's another one, I'm okay with this. But I'm okay with what I saw in theaters. Like I'm okay with what it ended at. I'm like, I'm not too much, not too over the top. Like it's not like a complete cliffhanger where you're like, but it's like, oh, there could be more.
yeah.
There could be more. So I appreciate that. Going in a little bit more, about the callbacks and stuff like that, right? One of the coolest things, you remember you were talking about director's cut versus the normal cut?
Yeah.
So Denis Villeneuve, when he saw the original film, there is a scene that was supposed to be put in the original movie that actually got cut. That's a callback to the book that the movie's based off of.
Do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
You got it. So in the book, there's a scene where Harrison Ford's character is supposed to actually go to a farm, hunt down a replicant, and actually take him out, right? In the movie, in the first 10 minutes of the movie is a callback to that original scene that was supposed to be in the original movie that is from the book. So Denis Villeneuve does a great way of encapsulating that, like to the T, where it's like exact to the T. Sitting in the kitchen, where in the dark, person comes in.
You know what?
Would you like some soup? And then gets killed.
What I would recommend to you, actually, I believe the company is called Cinefix, and also if you're watching, I would recommend they have this series called What's the Difference, where they can have the original book source material and compare it to the live action
Sounds
adaptation.
interesting. That'd be cool to
So
watch.
they did a side by side comparison of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep with Harrison Ford's Blade Runner, the original
Nice.
one. They also do ones with Scott Pilgrim, Rambo,
Nice.
all these different types, and I would definitely recommend you and them, the audience, to check it out.
Check it out.
But yeah, moving down the line, I think we're practically done for today, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're getting there. Yeah. So, since we don't have anything for always right reviews,
Yes.
but you know what? I'm actually giving a little bit of shout out to some of our old co-hosts. If you guys have a chance to check them out every once in a while, they do a show once a month, Uncensored DJs. You guys want something that's just going around Hamilton and stuff like that? They've had some pretty funny shows lately. One of the most recent one was their dad jokes one, which I had a good laugh. Some very raunchy jokes. I gotta tell you that, but they're very funny, very hilarious. So check them out. Again, if you guys are interested in checking out some more stuff, hit up your local comic book stores. I'm very, very, very happy to be able to get back into the comic book scene because I haven't been there for a little while, so I had a huge box of stuff to pick up. And that's why I'm like just blitzing through my comic books right now.
I just finished all of Scott Pilgrim. I've never read.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
So here's a little inside thing. So I sing in a rock and roll band, but my first band, the one that I created just when I started college, was a shout out to Brian Lee O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim, and we saw the movie and I fell in love with it, but I had never actually read the actual comic book created by Oni Press. And years later, I'm reading through it and I'm like, "Ooh, Scott Pilgrim's a dick. This is a bad. This was a bad decision in hindsight." But I did enjoy my time with Scott Pilgrim. He's not a good protagonist, but everything else I liked about it at least. So, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally at that time towards the end of the show where we get to talk about our various different social media stuff that is going on. I might as well go first, and then we'll do the stuff for North of Nerdy. So I am Sonic MTD. That's capital S, small O, small N, small I, small C, capital M, capital T, capital D. I'm available on Twitter. I'm also available on YouTube, as well as various different other social media platforms. Hell, I even got Tumblr very recently. Check me out. Hey, if you even want to play on PS4, send the line down that way. And also, besides you doing Walk Like an Egyptian or whatever the hell that is, do you want to promo the show?
Yes, check us out at on Instagram at Nerds Unlimited. Check us out on Twitch at North of Nerdy. All right. Also check us out on Facebook at North of Nerdy and Nerds Unlimited as well on Facebook. We have our YouTube channel, which is North of Nerdy as well. So check out all our old issues as well as our current issues. We're gonna be posting that up soon. And then Twitter, North of Nerdy, guys. So if you guys want to get some more of our nerdy stuff and me as the coon, then come on down and check us out.
Yeah, and if you also want to support the show, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it to everybody else, and also join in, be part of the show when we go live on Twitch, because let's face it, we do this for you, and we really like to hear audience feedback about what you guys think. But until our next issue comes out,
just before we say this, I want to give a special shout out to everybody who has been commenting. We got Miley Berman. Thank you very much for Millie, whoever that is.
Emma Lieberman.
Lieberman, yep. Really appreciate you sitting there and actually jumping in on the Twitch feed.
I just realized who Em Lieberman is.
Who is it?
It's my good buddy Mason, who I met.
Hey, what up?
Thank you for watching, Mason. I love you.
I also want to give a special shout out to Sean Kevin Nunes, who's actually been tuning into our show as well today. We got Serena Jaggard. I really appreciate as well. I might have butchered your last name. I apologize. Stevie Chanufsky. Really appreciate you messaging us as well. But yeah, guys, share message to some of your friends. If you liked our show, share it to some of your friends too. Send us a tag. And even better. Happy birthday, Sean. Yeah, that's a special happy birthday to you, my friend. This guy has been one of my best friends for quite some time. Hooked me up with a lot of good people. Helped me meet a lot of good people. I feel like because of him, I wouldn't be in Anime North. And I want to thank you, sir. I thank you. Happy birthday to you.
But either way, until our next episode, thank you very much for watching. It has been an honor and a privilege. I am Sonic MTD, and I am, of course, joined by my co-host, AJ. Until we see you next issue, later days.
Snap. Thank you very much, guys, for checking out this awesome issue of Nerds Unlimited. If you guys want to check out our last show, it'll be up here. If you want to subscribe, click that link right there. And then, if you want to see what this beautiful bastard's up to lately, right over here. But better yet, if you want to see us every Thursday, 7:30, the link will be right here.